Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nightmare Echoes. I'm your host, Eleazar. I'm joined again by co-host Jesse. Jesse, how's it going?
Oh, awesome.
Today we're covering Infinity Pool. Came out in 2023 and is not directly about an infinity pool you swim in, although it's talked about in the movie a little
It
bit.
mentioned, but it is one of those weird titles that it's kind of cryptic, and I guess they're referencing something somehow that I'm not smart enough to figure out.
I think they're referencing what the characters are doing
Um,
and this infinite supply of themselves.
oh,
It's like their genes
okay.
are
Okay.
coming out of this pool to clone them and reproduce them. Spoilers.
That makes sense. I did not think of that.
That's okay. It's 118 minutes long, and it came out by Neon, who is putting out a lot of really great films right now. It is a Brandon Cronenberg movie who also worked on Possessor, Antiviral, and has worked on some of the VHS anthology movies I like VHS and also Southbound.
And he is also the son of another famous director, David Cronenberg, I believe.
That's what I thought too.
And he did a whole bunch of stuff like I think The Fly and Videodrome, and
Right.
various other
Oh, yeah, yeah.
cult classics.
And it stars Alexander Skarsgård as James Foster, who was in The Northman, the Stan TV series, True Blood, obviously. He played Eric in True Blood. Mia Goth, who was in the X trilogy, X Pearl and Maxine, also in the Suspiria remake, and she was in the latest Frankenstein that came out.
And let me just say right off the bat that this, in my opinion, this is a pretty darn good movie. And I know people have divided opinions
Oh,
about
yeah.
it, and I kind of understand why, but if you like mysterious, cryptic things, it's hard to imagine you wouldn't like this movie.
Good. I'm glad you liked it because I worry sometimes when recommending stuff that is, yeah, splitting hairs between people. Some people really hate it, some people really like
Yeah.
it, whether or not my co-host will love it or not. Not that that's important,
I mean, it's hard for me to predict this either, but you watch something and sometimes it just hits you the right way and you're like, oh, that's cool.
right? So Mia Goth plays Gabby. Then we have Cleopatra Coleman who plays M. Foster. That's James's wife. It had a budget of around $4 to $4.5 million, and it only made 5.4 million worldwide. So it didn't make enough. It has a Rotten Tomato critic score of 87% and a audience score of 52%.
Very divisive.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do understand the criticisms. Like people will say things that like it didn't make sense, or there's this character's evolution didn't follow sort of a logical trajectory. And I do see what they're saying, but it feels almost intentional. Like they're trying to break your ability to predict where things are going. It's just kind of cryptic and mysterious.
Right. And it did get some achievements from places. The Canadian Screen Awards gave it best makeup and also best or like achievement in visual effects, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah,
So the movie has these opening credits that are really colorful.
it's quite cool.
Yeah.
Like sometimes just from the opening credits, oh, this is gonna be a good
Yeah.
movie.
Starts with our characters, Im and James, at a resort. They're talking about getting breakfast. And when they do, the staff are wearing these strange masks that look like their faces are deformed. Those are the locals of Latolka, which is where this fictional place is, where the resort is at.
And they don't make clear that whether it's an island or just a coastal nation, but I guess it doesn't matter, but it was something I was thinking about a little bit.
Yeah,
And where in the world it's supposed to be isn't clear. Its inhabitants seem to be Caucasian, whatever that means. Their language doesn't seem obviously related to any real language. They do a good job of making it sort of this place that feels like it could exist, but not in any specific part of the world.
right. And I do like that about it. They talk about this festival, which is why they're bringing the mask, which helps bring on their rainy season, which is, it lets us know early on that there's not much longer until the hotel closes, maybe like a month, because the rainy season happens and no one's going to hang out at their beaches during the rainy season. So they just close up shop.
And can we also just appreciate how horrifying those masks are?
Yeah. Yeah, they look like deformed. I don't want to look at it. I'd hate to have
Yeah.
a waiter or waitress that I don't want to look at.
Yeah, really. I would not think any tourists would particularly like that, but what do I know?
They sell them in the gift shop, so apparently
That's right.
people are gonna want them.
The Eki masks. And I feel like this whole intro sequence there, it seems like they're trying to make us feel disoriented. There's lots of weird camera rotation. Starts out with whispering in the dark, and I feel like the reason that they're doing that is to kind of put us in the same place of being in this foreign environment, right? This foreign country where we don't know what is going to happen. and I enjoy being placed in that
Yeah,
position. So
totally. So M is talking to James about going to this Chinese restaurant in town. James doesn't really feel up to the mood to going anywhere. And then when he goes down to the beach, we see some people are protesting. This is where he first meets Gabby, who comes over and tells him that those people are making a statement that they want to make by killing you and every other visitor to this area.
sorry, can I also just interject that they hint, I think, in a very subtle way, which I appreciate, that their relationship is a little bit on the rocks. It's not real obvious, but they're just a little cold.
They're not openly loving. She's trying to make plans for them to go out and do stuff, but he seems bored by anything she mentions.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I think it contrasts here when he meets Gabby, who claims to be his fan, says that she's read his book and she's loved it, which he wrote 6 years ago. He hasn't come up with another book idea. And she recommends that James and M go with her and her husband Albin to a restaurant, and it's the same Chinese restaurant that
Yeah.
he had no
And
interest in going
and
to.
suddenly he's interested.
And they're all of a sudden they're there. M and her are there to meet his number one fans all of a
And I'm
sudden.
surprised that she didn't call him out on it. I mean, I guess she kind
She
of
kind of
mentioned
did, yeah.
like the okay, you found a fan, whatever, but yeah, and also the title of the book is very strange. The Variable Sheath. What the heck is that? Like, it's a weird, weird title.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has some significance. It's such a weird, it's an example of the dialogue in this movie just being full of very strange and creative turns of phrase, I think.
Yeah, and I think it goes to the fact that we eventually find out that James didn't really know what he was writing about or really have anything to say in this book, they hint at. So I think his title is basically like, I don't know what's in this book.
Huh.
I don't know. And he can't come up with another idea. It's been 6 years. They're
Yeah.
on this trip so that he can have inspiration for another idea. But in this restaurant, we find out that Albin's in architecture and Gabby is an actress who stars in commercials where she fails at things naturally.
She's the I why can't I hold all these lines actress, right?
Yeah.
That was a hilarious concept. And watching her demonstrate it was just so
Yeah.
awesome.
She goes to cut a piece of bread and just the knife turns sideways every time and she can't possibly do it. So
And she's just like, it's impossible. You can't do this.
no one could cut bread with a knife.
That's why I need the what was it, bread slicer or something
Right. Yeah.
like
So
that.
like, do you, James, need the bread slicer too? Yeah, exactly. It
It's
was
a
really convincing.
It was, and it was a great scene too, because it's like there's so much visual variety in this movie. We've just gone from this blue sort of beach environment to this red Chinese restaurant environment, and everything about it is great. It's just good cinematography and funny stuff going on.
And we do see a little bit where they go dancing, and it's James just dancing with Gabby, where his wife Im is sitting at the bar talking to Albin.
Yeah, it's odd.
Right, like it's showing, I think, that James, like you said, it's subtly hinted there that James is more interested in this new woman
Yeah,
who is also already married,
right.
but he's fascinated by she likes me.
What I thought was interesting was Holman doesn't care either. Like, what's going, and we find out the answer.
Yeah, right,
But at the
yeah,
time, it's kind of
yeah,
it's kind of strange that he doesn't say anything about it. And then also the music is very cool.
right,
They've got, especially in this scene, they've got all sorts of different music and just
yeah.
cool stuff.
And then the next morning, we find out that they have been invited by Gabby and Alvin to leave the safetiness of the resort to go out to a beach where no one else is going to be around. Am, being the voice of reason, thinks this is a bad idea. Everybody warned you against leaving the resort.
Yeah,
Like, why, when you go to another country, they tell you where to stay safe. You follow
right.
those
Don't
directions.
you know you're in a horror movie?
I don't feel like people ever know they're in a horror movie. This is the problem.
It's like they're not paying attention to the opening credits.
Yeah. Okay, tangent. Have you seen? It's called "The Did Don't Die," and they're listening to
Oh,
the
I have not
song
seen that. Yeah.
called "The Did Don't Die" in the beginning of the movie, and Bill Murray's saying, "Why is this so familiar?" And he goes, and Adam Driver's character goes, "It's a theme song." And I was waiting for him to say like to the movie we watched last night or the show we watched or something, but that's it. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And throughout the whole movie, he keeps doing this, and he's like, "What do you think it is?" I think it's zombies. I think it's zombies. Yeah, ghouls. Flesh eaters. Like, no logical person would jump to this when they find a couple dead bodies, but he somehow knows out of his character like too much information, and it's a continuous joke that goes on the whole movie, and I love it.
I'd seen sort of breaking the fourth wall is kind
Yeah.
of a fun thing. Like I remember reading that back in the original version of the She-Hulk in the comics that one of her
Mm.
explicit powers was her
Yes.
ability to break the fourth wall. And I'm like,
I
that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
and people complain about that in the TV show, and I guess the most rational complaint it was is she didn't do it regularly enough. If she did it one time per episode,
Hmm.
When she did do it, it wouldn't feel like out of character.
Hmm.
But yeah. They end up renting a 1972 Cadillac Fleet Eldorado from a guy named Thresh, and they drive through these big metal fences with barbed wire, take a long drive through this, what looks like a really poor country.
And it's weird. They've got like, they pass like this speed limit sign, but the first digit in the number is just some alien symbol.
Sure.
And I was like, what the heck? Like, it's a standard, like, European style speed limit sign, or international style. But it's like, and of course, that character we see in other places later, it's part of their alphabet. And it's like, who has a speed limit sign that says speed limit B3, right? Like, what does that even mean?
Who knows?
It's very strange. There's also weird symbols on the license plate, and I like interesting scripts. So I was kind of fascinated by the script and
Yeah.
the writing system that they have. And I kept trying to think, like, oh, what is this based on? And one of the things I thought of is I wonder if Lee Tolka was somewhat inspired by Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because they sound kind of similar. They're both two separate words, which is actually pretty uncommon for a country's common name. Besides the fact they're similar sounding, Sri Lanka also has a writing system that's very sort of loopy, and it's not exactly the same, but I guess it made me think of that. And I don't know if Sri Lanka was one of the influences for Lee Tolka, but
Sure.
it's a neat thought.
So while they're eating at their picnic, we find out that the reason Em married James is because he's exactly what her father didn't want her to do. She hints that her father was not a good person, is the owner of a publishing company. So she went out and married the first poor writer she fell in love with. We find out he hasn't written a book in 6 years.
And I think maybe she should have listened to her dad on this one.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. So James goes off to relieve himself, and when Gabby walks up, he says he's almost done and doesn't expect her to reach around him. And while we don't see it,
Mm.
she starts stroking him. We do see his semen hit the rocks at the end of this, and afterwards he doesn't say anything and she walks away. I'm told there's an uncut version that they saw in festivals where you
Yeah.
saw a penis.
So I was actually about to bring this up. So I was going to ask you whether they showed it in the version you watched
They did
because
not.
the version I found was the uncut version.
Okay, all right.
And I was just kind of shocked. I was like, "Oh, well, this is just straight up porn." I mean, this is it's like just explicit. Yeah, and I wonder if there are any other things that are in the uncut version.
Well, there might be because there's definitely nudity throughout this whole movie, and I do see characters' penises later,
Yeah. Oh,
but this actual just stroking of it was not in this version that I watched.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's very odd. There's also something in this scene where frickin' Albin or whatever, he makes this remark about cooking and eating James, and it's just like the most casual thing in the world. I'm like, who says that? And in what situation is that a normal thing to say? Like, and they play it off like it's just funny. And I'm like, that's not funny. That's a really weird thing to say.
Yeah, you're right. So on the drive home, Alvin says he's too drunk, and James says he's good to drive, although they've all clearly been drinking. Then on the way, his headlights stop working at one point, and he's trying to fix them. He doesn't pull over to try to fix them. He just tries to fix them while driving, which is why he hits a man on the road and kills him. M wants to call the police, and Gabby assures him that the prison systems are the worst, and they need to just leave and head back to the resort. So they get there on foot, meaning they ditch the car somewhere, and the gates are closed, and they have to convince the people to let them in. And after they get in, James vomits.
Which makes you wonder, like, okay, he said, "Oh yeah, I'm good to drive," and maybe that was not the case.
Yeah,
Or maybe he's vomiting just because of the stress of what just happened.
yeah, I would imagine if I killed someone, whether I was sober or not, on accident,
Yeah.
maybe I'd be sick to my stomach about it.
I'm not sure which of those things they're implying. So
Okay,
I'm,
yeah.
or both. I don't know.
So the next morning, there's a knock at the door. James answers it, and the police tell them that both him and him have to go with them. And when they get to the station, they separate them, and we get the cop that comes and talks to them, and you find out the cop, his uncle, was the one that lent them the car, and he asks if a favor to him, not that it would change the outcome at all, but as a favor to him, could you say that you stole the car so my uncle doesn't get in any trouble? He says that your wife has already agreed to this, and so has the other couple.
It's interesting. I'm not sure what this is there to illustrate, other than that it's kind of a corrupt system. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And then so he's also told that the penalty for killing someone is death by the eldest son of that person because they need to protect the honor of the family. And lucky for James, that person had two sons, which I was like, what? So he starts to panic, but Detective Thresh tells him that they have a revised Devil's Act for international visitors and diplomats, where for a large sum of money, they will create a double of you down to the memories. It has to be exact, so exact that that double will believe that they are the original, and then that person will take the place and be killed. James is all confused and doesn't understand what's going on. He's like, "Do you want to die, James?" And he's like, "No." It's like, "Great." And then they lead him to an ATM machine that's right there in the prison
Conveniently.
for him to withdraw this big fat thing of their local currency.
I feel like it's probably not a good idea to go to any country where there's an ATM in the police station.
Yeah. Yes.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, no, the doubling thing is a fascinating,
Yeah.
fascinating concept. I feel like there's a lot to explore there. A lot. It makes you think about a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
One of the first things, of course, one of the most surface things that I'm thinking is, how does this poor country have this incredible piece of technology, right? That they're able to do this.
Yeah.
And they don't really answer that, but I feel like they hint at it a little bit later.
Okay. I can't
Um,
wait till you bring that up.
yeah, well, it's quite cool. I mean, the whole sequence where they show it happening, right? Like he steps in this weird red pool of goo. And I saw some people online thought that was the infinity pool. And I'm like,
It's creating an infinite amount of
I
them.
guess so. I guess so.
I think once they've done it once, the process is easier for the next one,
I
right?
would assume
But I mean, somehow it's got to have the memories of the recent crime. So they have to at least still somehow download your latest memories.
somehow. I mean, I don't know how there was that there's a whole sequence where like there's all this crazy weird imagery and things
Hmm.
flashing, and I guess that's supposed to be how his memories are getting downloaded. Then they find themselves in some room that it looks like an old Soviet nuclear power plant control room.
Right. And the body's just sitting there in the middle.
Yeah. And I'm fascinated. I felt like there were some aspects of Lee Tolka that kind of reminded me of Eastern Europe, sort of post-Cold War state, and this was one of the scenes that made me think that.
Right. And so eventually we see James's double tied to a post where this maybe 14-year-old comes out with a knife and repeatedly stabs him over and over until he dies. Afterwards, James is giving,
Very graphically, by the way.
oh, yeah, yeah,
It's
lots of
it's it's a
blood.
very graphic and shocking scene.
Afterwards, James is given an urn of the remains of his double, and Detective Thresh tells him to think of it like a souvenir.
That's so weird. I
Yeah.
mean, everything about this is weird, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed thinking about this. Like, it is actually a punishment, I think, if you double someone and then kill one of the doubles, because from a certain point of view, you don't know which one you're going to be when you wake up,
And
right?
that's what the other group eventually asks him, like in a like theoretical question, like, how do you know they didn't kill the wrong one? You
Well,
both think you're the right one.
I wasn't necessarily saying quote unquote the wrong one. I was just
Yeah,
saying, like, I feel like from the perspective of the individual person's consciousness, it's essentially random whether you're going to find yourself waking up as one or the other after the procedure.
right.
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm making that clear, but
I get you, right? But from the point of view of the main character, he seems totally fine with this, which is bonkers to me.
I, well, I mean, he doesn't have much of a choice.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like he chooses
oh,
the bad path.
you mean when he actually watches it happen, though?
Yeah,
Yeah, when he watches it happen, he seems more than fine. He even kind of smiles a little
right.
bit in
Right. And
a
M
faint
seems
way.
disturbed by this.
Yeah,
So disturbed that when they get back to the hotel, she's ready to pack and go to the airport. James, though, says that he can't find his passport anywhere, and she's freaking out because they have to leave. And so that night, they're lying in bed, and he tells her that she can leave without him, and he'll get on the first plane that allows him to go back.
there's so much to talk about here. For one thing, I feel like this punishment creates a perverse incentive for people like him who are into it.
Yeah,
Like, because then it makes you want to commit more crimes, right? But that perverse incentive is also perversely incentivized by the fact that the people running the police are making money from it.
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, yeah, that benefits them. So
So it's a
they're
really,
fine with that kind of addiction.
it is a nasty circle, a nasty spiral of perverse incentives. I also just wanted to say, I didn't say this before, that execution room was yet another example of the visual creativity of this movie. Like the ceiling was very interesting. I don't know if you noticed. It was like a strange sort of geometric arch, and the way they had him tied up to the post was interesting. Like he had a shirt with a carefully hemmed hole in it around the abdomen where he was supposed to get stabbed. And I mean, it's like, why would you just not have them wear a shirt, right?
Right,
Why
yeah.
not just, but it's again, just I enjoyed all the creative cinematography choices. And so, yeah, he's really into this thing. So it's like, of course, he hides his passport so that he can have an excuse to stay and kill himself some more times.
Right. At this point, we can just assume that's what he did. But later it's shown that we see that he's hidden the passport. Or at least in the version I watched.
Oh,
You don't know that he didn't lose it yet.
okay. Yes, you're right. They didn't actually show it yet, but I kind of thought it was pretty
Okay.
obvious.
All
Like, I
right.
mean, I
Yeah.
just from the way he was acting and everything, I'm like, okay, he quote unquote lost his passport,
Sure.
right?
Okay. All right. So he goes to the front desk to ask if he can extend his stay, and we do find out, yeah, it's all on his wife's card, right? She's paying for this. And so he's going to stay. When he's down there, Gabby comes over and says that she wants to buy him a drink. She invites him to go meet a group of people. Oh, before this, though, she's telling him that Alvin was working on the installation of an infinity pool at another resort that's a couple of places down the beach when this glass panel fell and killed someone, and both of them were blamed for it. And that's when they found this doubling process, which she thinks is as a gift. She invites him to their villa where they meet Charles, Jennifer, Dr. Modin, and the beautiful Bex.
I think at this point it's starting to become hard to understand why they tried to stop him from going to the police in the first place.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know because they it makes him look more guilty for running. Like maybe the police might have thought
Maybe.
it was an accident if he
Okay,
reported
maybe.
it.
Yeah, I guess like it was
I'm
the
trying to
opposite.
guess.
Maybe it was the opposite of the reason they said. Yeah, like
Mhm.
rather than trying to get them in less trouble, they were actually trying to get him in more trouble.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
I might be grasping at straws, but that's what it feels like to
No,
me.
that makes sense. I could believe that.
So album goes into the structure of the law of Latoka, saying they will kill you for drugs, blasphemy, and sodomy. And he goes, "Which one do you think of us did sodomy?" And like it's like a game to them, right? They talk about that philosophical question of how do you know they killed the real you or the wrong you, you know?
And I would argue there isn't a right or wrong one, right? They're both interchangeable. They both have the same set of memories, but not everybody sees things that way. I do.
Sure. I do find it interesting that someone in the group is definitely wearing a pineapple pendant, alluding to the fact that they're all swingers.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I wasn't even aware of the pineapple pendant, I guess.
Oh, so total tangent. There's a at Taekwondo because this became a thing, and depending on if the panel's upside down or pointing to the right or the left, depending on what on the relationship you're into as regards to swingers go,
Hmm.
we bought, and I mean we, like everybody in Taekwondo for someone's birthday, bought them so much pineapple as a joke, paraphernalia, like pineapple backpack, pineapple sandals, pineapple bracelets, pineapple hats. Someone borrowed the key to their house from their relative and went in and replaced all the pictures in their house with pineapple framed pictures. The rug in front has like a big pineapple with swingers welcome on the
Wow.
mat. And then outside, a bunch of pineapples and sticks were just planted in their front yard. The
Dang,
biggest joke ever because
that's
it's
a high-end
not
prank.
who they are.
Yeah,
On another tangent, if I can do another tangent,
go for it.
my kids were in a movie that I got to go see recently called The Long Shot. It's the 2025 The Long Shot, and one of the producers gave my littlest kid a hat that says "Swingers Welcome" because it's a golf course and one swings on a golf
Right.
course.
Right.
But
Okay. Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
my 8-year-old, had no idea what he was wearing. We have
Right.
pictures with him that we jokingly tell him we're going to show at his wedding. But it tons of total tangents. Yeah,
Jokingly, but then you actually will.
maybe. But anyway, yeah, I found that pineapple pendant fascinating, like a hint of what's about to come.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not notice that at all.
So a little bit later, Albin is like drunkenly firing a gun. They talk about how they know he has trouble with his passport, and if he plays a little game with them, they're willing to help him get a new one. So they want to play a visit to the resort owner that blamed Gabby and Albin for the crime and got them executed because he was given a trophy for all he's done for that country. So after James agrees, they break into the gift shop, steal those the token masks, then break into his house. They attack a servant. They find him having sex with a much younger woman. And then they drag him all out into the living room, put him on their knees while they find the trophy. And then they proceed to beat the crap out of and kill them while everybody watches.
And it's pretty horrifying, but at the same time, you can kind of see how James is being peer pressured into this. I mean, he's got his new girlfriend basically there telling him he's a coward if he doesn't, right? Like
Right.
how much peer pressure can you have? You know what I mean? And plus they have a gun, right? Like there was that scene of the oh well, we should just shoot you now. Right? Like that's totally a joke. Yeah, we're totally not going to just shoot you if you don't do it.
Yeah. So the next day, we see the group is all in jail. They're all dressed in white gowns, complaining how they're being treated. When the detective comes in,
And they do make a remark about another remark, I believe, here about the Lee Tolkien society being brutal. But it's like, you're calling them brutal? And also, I did want to comment a minute ago that I like the fact that they wore the Eki masks
yeah,
uh, to do that because it's like the Eki masks were kind of showing them for what they really are, right? Like
the
showing their brutal
real,
nature. It's like,
yeah, they're ugly inside. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
They're there complaining how they've been treated. The detective comes in to say that this country is not their playground. And he says, maybe a lesson should be made of you. They're all dragged into a room and they're all executed. And that's when we see that the real them, quote unquote, are all watching themselves get executed. And we were following their doubles. So this was a fun fake out.
Right. And this whole scene, there's a lot, again, there's a lot going on. Someone says, I think this was around this time, someone said something like, I think it was M said, like, you've gone wrong around the eyes like one of those crabs at the dump.
That's weird.
And that was the strangest line. And I'm like, it's another example of how this movie is just so cryptic. And like, you could just pause after every line and think for a little bit, like, what in the world? One of those crabs at the dump? Like, what? What crabs at the dump?
Yeah.
And there was also one of the other people, I think while they were in the interrogation room, said something about that they had tried to duplicate the process.
Oh, yeah. Like their government, where they're from, is trying to like figure out the process and they have been unable to do it.
Well, but they were more specific than that. He
Okay.
said we were being too literal, and then says something about, I think, transcendence or something. And that's where I started to think, maybe this doubling process is supposed to sort of have like a supernatural element. Like it's not a fully technological thing. It's not so much duplicating memories, maybe, as copying the soul.
Yeah.
And they do mention that these people are all religious and that they have this drug called the Eki Gate, which seems to have some mystical qualities. So, I mean, again, just very cool thing to think about. Is it technology or magic?
Right. And so, yeah, when they're all getting killed, James, the clone of James, is the only one that jumps up and tries to fight back, and then their throats are slit. When James returning to his room with another urn, him is packing to leave. He tells her to run back to her daddy, but seems to regret it the moment that she does so. Later at the beach, Gabby arrives and says she didn't think that M was right for him, and that she starts kissing him, and that's when the rain starts to come down. So this is where they go to her room. She introduces him to the Eki Gate, saying it's an aphrodisiac as well as an hallucinogen. It's illegal, but they were able to pay someone to get it.
No, I thought they said it was legal because it's considered a religious ceremony.
Oh, then my bad. I misheard that then.
I thought that's what they said.
Okay. I think you're right. I mean, that's fine. Them taking the drug leads into a passionate sex scene between him and Gabby, but then that turns into a psychedelic orgy between the whole group.
Which is very reminiscent to me of Rosemary's Baby, the whole impregnation by the devil sort of thing. Like it
Yeah,
immediately made me think of that. And
sure.
like it did look like some sort of ritual. There were a bunch of parts of the
Hmm.
scene where it seemed like it was more than an orgy.
Where like she's wearing the mask and walking through them all while they're in their
Yeah,
knees.
like she's their goddess and they're worshiping her.
And then they all take turns drinking some kind of goo that comes out of her nipple.
That's right. Yeah, it's very odd. And you really got to wonder, is she a supernatural entity or is she just the leader of their little cult, if you can call it that?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the first time I felt solidly that she's the one in charge of the group,
Yeah, it does feel that way. The next morning at breakfast, James is being really annoying to other guests by spitting blueberries at their plates. And then the group tells James that it's Detective Thresh himself that's blocking him from getting a new passport. And they have a plan because they know where the detective spends his nights, where he's going to get a glycerin injection. So we cut to them outside going inside to get the detective. They leave James outside to stand guard with a gun, and he almost gets hit by a police van, has to jump out of the way. Then at the villa, James is given more of the hallucination, where the victim waits on his knees while being tied up with a bag over his head. Bex is recording this whole thing on her phone. James drinks more alcohol, and then the group watches him beat the man. But then Gabby pulls off the mask to reveal it's actually another double of James, which the group paid the detective to make so they can have some fun with James.
And I'm confused by this. I don't really understand why suddenly he doesn't like beating up his double like that. I thought that was what he was into, right? Like the reason he stayed.
Yeah, it freaks him out for some reason that I don't get either. He runs, they all follow him to his room. While outside, Gabby's like, hey, if you let me in, I'll let you and your double have me at the same time. I've never done that before. Have you?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird.
It's all weird. And there was like even a scene here where he was like kind of running around. It seems like he was even like beating his chest, like he was acting like a gorilla. And this is after they called the Lee Tolkien's baboons.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like very, the whole thing is very disturbing. I'm not sure exactly. It starts to become harder and harder to follow kind of the literal sort of the motives for what's going on.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure if that's just because that creators didn't think it through, which is what some people seem to
I
think,
hope that's not true.
or whether it's just that it's being deliberately cryptic. And yeah, I don't know, but it certainly is interesting.
So this is where we officially see, and even if we suspect it already, that he hid his passport under the bathroom sink.
Yeah.
So he goes to get it, and the next day he's packed and ready to fly back. He's on the bus on the way to the plane when the group shows him two different cars. Gabby has a gun. She starts shooting the bus, yelling, James, James, come out. Basically tells the whole bus she won't kill any of them if they send out the coward named James.
I also, there was just a brief passing scene at the station where where there's these people with these ridiculous big cube hats and long noses.
Yes, that
And
was weird.
it seems like some kind of religious thing, but it also seems like a parody of Judaism. I don't know. Like, I mean, if they're just trying to make the country look very backward and bizarre, I think it certainly works.
I was like,
It made me
there's a
laugh.
convention coming. That's funny.
It was very crazy. This movie is just a fever dream.
It is. And like, yeah, the further we go, the more it seems like what is going on.
Just
So James gets out of the bus with his hands up. Then we cut to him being forced to walk on the road while the cars follow slowly. Gabby's on the hood of the front car drinking wine, has a gun. She here tells him that he was a mark and it was really easy to find out information about him. And she actually never read his book.
And that's the thing that makes him look back. All the
Yeah,
insults she's throwing at him and the I never read your book is what makes him turn around
right.
like, what? That's crossed the line. Not reading my
Yeah.
book.
The whole time she's calling him a pathetic baby
Yeah,
and a bedwetter and all that stuff. And then she pulls out some reviews of his book to really hurt his ego.
yeah.
When her wine rolls off the car, James attacks and tries to get the gun away from her, but he can't. So he runs in the woods and she starts just randomly firing, but does seem to hit him in the leg,
Yes.
which was
She's an
crazy.
amazing shot, apparently.
I thought she was just randomly firing that direction to play around, but she hit him.
There's a
Yeah.
reason that she's their goddess and they suck aim juice out of her nipple, I guess.
Through the pain, he hobbles. He's eventually find people that are willing to help him, and he collapses in front of them.
It's like a farm, and it has the weirdest looking like water tower thing there or something. It's a strange geometric shape, and again, wonderful alien landscape.
So he wakes up in bed. He's being nursed back to health, and he finds himself facing the boy who was tasked with killing his double the first time. That boy is really happy to see him. He comes in, starts strangling him. We get really trippy images. He pulls off the face of the boy to reveal that it's M's face, and now she's choking him while the group's walking around him naked. It's all this weird fever dream. And then he seems to wake up for real. So I don't know.
Well, and he also gets split in half.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. I think the splitting in half represents the doubling,
I could see that.
but I don't know why M is cast in the role of the villain here. Maybe it's just expressing his growing dislike of her because it's from his point of view. I'm not really sure. Again, there's a lot of ways you can interpret things.
Yeah, I don't know. So when he does wake up, I'm not sure what of any of that was real. Is this really the boy's family? Not sure. He walks out of the place where he was being nursed back to health. And outside, there's three different vehicles that the group is there have brought. They're all led by Gabby, who claims they're on a mission of mercy. She orders them to bring out a dog, and then we see they have his double naked on a leash and he's being forced to act like a dog. And she gives that double some of the hallucinogen. Gabby tells James that the devil's there so James can complete his transformation. They arm James with a knife, and he's supposed to sacrifice his double, but he throws the knife down, telling them, fuck you. But when he throws the knife, the double seems like, okay, this is my time to attack. And
Yeah.
both James and him fight on the
Why
ground.
would the double attack him though, right? If the double wanted to escape, just run away. Although I think maybe the hallucinogen has something to do with it.
I think if the double thinks if he kills James, he gets to be the real
Uh,
James
that makes
because they're going to
sense.
only have one James left,
Sure. Okay.
right? And so then James has to kill his double basically to live. When he's all bloody, Gabby comes over to him, rubs the blood off his hand onto her boob,
Yeah.
and then has him suck her boob as
Again, like a baby. Yeah.
like you passed the test.
It,
Mommy wants you back.
it made it feel like the whole thing was just an elaborate hazing ritual, right? Like it was all
Yeah,
just a big hazing to induct him into the group. Like
right.
the insults and the threats and everything were all just part of that, which it does kind of seem like something like kind of the way fraternity initiations work, right? Like
Yeah,
they're really
sure.
mean to you. And then I also, I'm not sure I saw the transformation that they wanted to achieve,
Hmm.
but
He
maybe I
seems
did.
broken.
Yeah.
At this point forward, he seems broken.
Okay. So you think so? They
I think
did get the transformation they wanted.
I don't think that's what they wanted. I think they
Oh,
wanted him to become like them. Excited to do this. Come back next year. We're going to do it again.
oh, but
Like,
it
I
didn't
love
work
this. Convince
instead.
your wife maybe next time to join us.
Yeah.
Like, hey, come in. Or, heck, they might want him to leave his wife, even though he wouldn't be able to afford this without her.
Right.
We're going to get there in a minute. But yeah. So the next morning, he's calling him saying he's ready to come home and he's really sorry. We do see that he's very carefully packing all three urns that he has, as if he cherishes them a lot. And he gets on the bus with the rest of the group. They're all talking about their normal lives, about how when one of the husbands gone, this one woman redecorates the house. And I think it's Bex and Gabby that bond over like, oh, I'm going to redecorate this. I'm going to paint the
It
whole
sounds
house.
so mundane here, like just
Right.
wild.
Their regular lives seem boring in compared to the adventure they live on vacation.
Right.
And James the whole time is just seems like in shock how they can talk about life
Right.
as a normal thing.
It's like you said, he seems broken at this point.
So they all get to the airport and we watch James sit there as more and more people in the airport leave. And these are supposed to be like the last to leave because the resort is closing. And then we hear them call for his plane. He doesn't get on his plane.
Yeah.
We cut to him sitting outside of the resort in
In
the
the rain.
rain.
Yeah.
The resort itself is closed, so he has nowhere to go.
Right.
And if he cuts off his wife, he has no money.
Yeah.
What could he possibly do from here
But
on
it
out?
seemed like he kind of reconciled with
Yeah, but he
over
didn't
the
go to
phone.
her.
I know that's what I'm saying is strange. Like he it's like he reconciled, but then he didn't go there. He stayed
And like,
in the rain, like
and
looking broken.
I know, and I hear other people's interpretations of this, but feel like some people think he's letting go of everything in life and just wants to see what happens. But I can't realistically think that anything positive could happen because Im's not going to come back to him.
Yeah.
He would have to go back to Im, and he didn't.
Yeah, and it is very open to interpretation, which is interesting and mysterious and can also be frustrating and can also kind of part of me wants to say like, what are you saying, right? What is this about? But
Hmm.
and so that's why I kind of do understand people who criticize it, but there's so much interesting stuff in this movie that I don't mind that I don't completely understand the ending.
Right. Yeah, I like the movie. The ending was like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
So I think one thing the movie does do really good at though is kind of give us this idea that I've heard a lot, which is everybody pays for their crimes, but the wealthy pay with money.
Mm.
And I felt like it's like a look at privileged and underprivileged people in regards to the justice system. Like it's a weird way of looking at it, but it's the rich can do whatever they want as long as they have the money to pay for
Yeah. I was still at the end trying to figure out the name, right? The infinity pool. And like you said, it could just be that I'm looking too hard into it and it's just literally just they have an infinity of duplicates.
it. Right.
And I saw someone online who had some interpretation that was also interesting, which is that like the infinity pool, an infinity pool is often like a pool that looks like it continues into the ocean and the horizon, but it doesn't.
Right.
and that they were trying to say that that was being used as a metaphor for like this cloning process erasing the boundary between or erasing the specialness of you versus other people, the ocean of just clones out there that could be you or are sort of also you, and that erasing that specialness sort of removes the humanity, in some way. And I don't know,
And that's why he acts this way?
maybe it's gosh, you could spend a lot of time thinking about this. I would like to see more of this director's work, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen any of his other movies. I don't think. Having seen this one, I would definitely be curious to see what his other movies are like.
Well, I definitely think we could cover Possessor in the future.
Yeah?
So I could definitely put that on the list.
Okay.
But for anything else, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you feel that M's reaction was grounded, believable, and do you think she would have taken it back? Like,
Oh,
really?
that's a good question. I felt like her reaction did make sense, but it just she seemed very weary, like she's already tired of his crap, right? Like you get the sense he's already been unfaithful, at least in implication, or at least in his wandering eye or something. She already knows that. She's already sick of it. And so while she's disgusted, she's also not that surprised
Sure.
because she already has kind of decided that he's almost a write-off.
Which is hinted by the fact that their relationship is having troubles.
Right. That's kind of what I mean. I mean, she just doesn't seem that interested in him.
Do you think the movie could have worked without all the violence or sexual content?
I don't think it could have worked without the violence. The sexual content, I'm less sure of because I think for a horror movie, the violence is kind of important, right? Especially
Right.
since you're trying to create that sense of, wow, there is something really wrong with what's going on here, and having that very graphic scene of the kid stabbing the clone helps to create that sense of shock, that feeling of
Right.
like, wow, this is messed up. I guess the sex scenes do as well, but they might not be critically necessary, but I think they also do play a role in making the whole thing look so weird.
I think the initial one, though, in my version, they didn't show much
Yeah,
of her coming behind him and finishing him
sure.
was a shock value enough for me to be like, oh, whoa, this is weird.
I
So I think
agree.
it does work. I think that scene is at least serves a purpose in this film.
I don't know why they had to be so explicit, though, like the uncut version, right? Like, I'm
Right.
like, why did. I also think it's kind of funny calling it the uncut version when we get to see that, because it's like.
Right.
uh,
That's pretty funny. Mine's the circus size version. Uh, that's too funny. Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, I couldn't find a legit way for me to to get the uncut version short of buying it. And like I
oh,
found it
really?
streaming, so I was fine with just watching it
Yeah,
streaming.
I just watched it on YouTube.
Oh, I did not find it on YouTube. I did not think to look on YouTube.
Yeah, right. YouTube's one of the first places I usually look. They have
Okay.
so many movies now.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Anything else to say about it before we wrap it up?
Not really, just that the closing credits had another kind of gimmick where the names were all duplicated
Yeah.
oftentimes, which I assume a reference to the doubling thing, and I like
Right.
that. That's clever, and that's about it.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Jesse, for joining me.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We are Nightmare Echoes. We have new episodes every Monday. Next week on the podcast is Influencer, which came out in 2022, and we will have Marvel. Please tune in then. Bye.
Bye bye.